All right, welcome back to another episode of the Parker Daniel podcast. Today I'm here with Baylor. Baylor, how's it going, man?
Good. How about you?
Good, man. What you been up to this summer? Busy?
Been a busy summer. June, you're all filled up with basketball, a lot of camps going on. And then throughout July is kind of the time where you're still doing basketball, but you can have a more like leisure type of schedule where you go on trips. I was just in Illinois camping. That was a really good time, hiking and stuff like that. So it's nice you can do that. So June and July kind of filled up with basketball, but get back to school here soon. So
That's awesome. Kind of tell us about Illinois if you want.
yeah, Illinois, it was great because when you think of Illinois, you kind of think of flat and cornfields everywhere. But actually, there's some really cool hikes on a mountain, and there's a lake we were staying at. It was just beautiful. So I was kind of surprised by Illinois' kind of last minute trip. So,
That's good, like get away too.
Get
Like,
away,
you're out in the
yeah.
mountains and stuff.
Right,
camping.
right.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So kind of tell us your testimony and story, like how you came to know Jesus and stuff, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So you've probably heard it a lot on here, but the same with a lot of people. I grew up in a Christian home. You know, my dad worked for a Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's a big organization all throughout the country that really preaches Christianity and athletes, and they hold camps and stuff. My mom has been faithful her whole life. She's really strong with her faith, and she's been a great mother, like role model, and had a great father role model. I remember when it was about 7, and we were in North Carolina. That's where my my grandparents lived and we were at a Christmas Eve service, and the pastor, was talking about what it kind of really means, Jesus' birth and his whole life and dying on the cross. And I was fascinated by that story. And I was like, that's really cool. I want to know more about that. So we got back to the hotel that night, and it was about that age where you're starting to understand things more.
Yeah.
And I started asking my dad and mom about that. And they kind of gave me, what the pastor said and what it means to be saved and come into your life and change it, and you'll be in heaven for eternity. And I love that. I love the sound of that. So that's when I kind of first started following Jesus, but you're still young at that time. Yeah. And when you're at church camps like Ocoee, and I've been to other camps and Easter Sundays, it's always so special to me at the end when it kind of gets deep into it and the room gets tense and everybody's quiet. I've never skipped a beat to kind of not rededicate, but kind of get back in that covenant with God that I once had. So when I say I was saved at 7, that's like when I asked him into my heart. But ever since then, there's always been those moments at the end of a church service or at the end of a camp where God, like, I want to get back one-on-one with you. I'm here. I give you my all. Please come in my heart and save me. So 7 when it was first happened, but since then there's been moments where I want to look back and say, I've been falling back into what I used to, and I need you to save me again. I'm here. I'm opening myself up. I'm about 15 now, and my dad said I have a job in Pell City. They asked me like, what do you think about moving? And I was like, at first I was like, I'm all for a change. I want to meet new people and see new places. But then when they actually we sold the house and it got really serious, I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know people down here, And so we moved down here, and if I'm being honest, the first couple of weeks, that was really hard, Yes. You don't have any friends. You don't know anybody. Like, who can I talk to? Being in Huntsville my whole life, you're like, who can I talk to? And then slowly I started to get more adapted. And but there's being a high schooler, like for a lot of people, there's a lot of trials you go through. And what's cool about God is he tells us that there's going to be trials. I haven't had anything that's life altering, which I'm, by the grace of God, I'm so thankful for it. That nothing that's changed the course of my life. But there's been moments where I've had trials and I've been low. And you can't run to anyone, but God, because your mom and dad are there, and I have great parents, but they're only there so much. God's the only person you have at the end of the day. So from my freshman year to now going into a senior year, God has really helped me meet some great people at Trustful, and been there for me when all I've had was myself, you know?
Yeah.
So, now we are senior year, and I think the coolest thing about a testimony is that was my story then, but every day's a testimony, you know? When I wake up and decide it's either going to be a bad decision or a good decision, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's every day's a testimony, and we're going to live that out every single second of our life. So from here on out, it's kind of just believing what God has in store for you.
Amen, man. That's a great story. Like, I'm glad you shared that with us about moving and all that stuff. I bet that was hard, man.
It was hard at first, and I didn't really try to express it because I wanted to meet new people, and I love the opportunity. But it was hard for a little bit, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you found your place.
I
love
did.
you, man.
I did.
Glad I got to meet you. Basketball and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I got a couple questions here for you. Who would you say has had the biggest impact on your spiritual journey?
I don't know if you've heard of the pastor Bobby Chandler. I saw him first on Instagram Reels. You know, you kind of get scrolling, and I came across him, and I was like, that's a really good message. He talked about David and all of his story. I've always loved the story of David, but Bobby Chandler is a pastor in North Carolina, and his messages are powerful and are moving. And so I started from looking at his reels, and then I watched a lot of his sermons, and he's really kind of how to be a man of God and go in this world. So he's played a good impact on me. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'll have to go check him out.
Check him out. Yeah. Bobby Chandler. It's really good.
Talking about scrolling, man. I mean, I found a lot of pastors, Anthony, Pastor Anthony?
I do. Dude. He's great.
Oh, man.
He's great.
So how do you balance being a competitive athlete while trying to live out your faith?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because that you can get so caught up in who you are as an athlete and drifting from the fact of what God has already done for you. So it's always hard when you have a bad game that you let that kind of define you, and you turn and praying at night, and God's sitting right there saying, hey, I'm still here for you. You know, like, that didn't define you, that one game. I have blessings upon blessings that your story's still being written. So being a competitive athlete the truth is you're going to have bad games, you're going to have great games, you're going to have highs, and you're going to have lows. And so balancing that is very important, because when you have those lows and you don't turn to God, you stay there.
Yeah, you just dwell in it.
You dwell in it, right. Just soak up in it. That's what you do. But when you have those and turn to God, it only goes uphill. I've noticed that.
It's like kind of playing for God. This is something that God has given me.
Right, nobody else, just God. Yeah.
That's good. Mm-hmm. Has there ever been a moment in basketball where your faith was really tested?
There has, for sure. Like I said, like those bad games, and will really kind of it'll have you thinking, like, who do I still have a purpose? And then there's times where you sit on the bench more than you want to. Just in every year of my basketball career, there's been those times, and it's like you're angry with God, and you're just angry, like, why can't I have an opportunity? You see people around you, and you don't want to be jealous, but you see people around you having their moment, and you're asking God, why can't I just have this? And you're angry at him, but you got to think, like, he's the reason you're here in the first place, that you don't have a disability that you weren't born with. And you got to thank him for that, because people just want to be able to walk, and you're playing basketball.
Yeah.
So who am I to be angry at God, who's got me here and is still writing my story? Yeah.
Dude, you're so good at answering these questions.
Yeah, but I have been tested a lot throughout my basketball. Yeah.
I'm sure, and I bet you will get tested some more.
More. Yeah. Yeah.
So another same kind of question, but like, how do you handle losing, in bad games, injuries, and then like disappointment during the seasons? Like, I'm sure that happens
all the time. I was telling Parker earlier that towards the end of summer, I went up for a layup and got my legs took out from under me. I fractured my wrist, and that was disappointing. It's so hard. Nobody tells you how hard it is to be out there watching your teammates when you just want to play so bad. You got this fire to play. So towards the end of summer, I fractured my wrist, and that wasn't anything major. Like, I'm still good to go for the season. Thankful for that. But like with injuries, that like I said again, like, that'll have you won't be able to train and lift, and that's like everything I've worked for. I want to keep going at it, but you can't. And so God kind of sits you back and says, here we are, like, what can we do from here, you know?
Right.
Yeah, and losing, like, big games, those will leave a hole in your chest for a while.
Yeah, they do.
And it'll think about it, but it's cool that God kind of, that's, like I said, doesn't define you and who you are. Those big losses that leave a hole in your chest, they're going to sting for a little bit, but you'll find yourself moving past that, saying that was just a little moment in my life, you know?
Yeah, it's like 1 out of how many you have a season? 1 game out of
30, roughly 30.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, yeah. Also, you can think about it in that perspective. Like, we can get back, you know.
For sure.
Usually in, like, especially area play, you got 2 times to beat somebody.
2 times, yeah.
So if you lose 1, you can split it, right?
Yeah.
So, let's see. What does it mean to you to use the platform God has given you as a basketball player to use for His glory?
Yeah. That's a big thing because, you know, you don't kind of see it when you're in the position, but people do kind of notice what your every move, especially when you're an athlete. You know, they're like, what is he doing on this night? Or what is it? Like, you kind of always got a weight on your shoulders that someone's watching. So I think it's very important that you kind of, when you go about your everyday life, people have to know that the Lord is a part of your everyday life, and that you're not doing it on your own, you know, that God is there, and you want to make it known that God is using your life, you know? Yeah.
I got you. So, final 2 questions. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind at Trustful after this season?
Yeah, I think I'm really excited about this year. We have a good group of seniors, and I think we're going to play a good leadership role. I think we have a really good chance about making an impact and having a good year. I think we can make it far if we really got serious and locked in.
Yeah.
I think we can make it far. But more than anything, I want people to know, like, we were a great group of guys, and we're faithful, and that's the most important thing, you know?
Right.
I want people to know that God has really used our team to impact others. Me and my dad have been trying to figure out, like, a team Bible study.
Yeah.
You know, you got to start there before anything on the floor or in the weight room. You got to start right there with your faith, because that's more important than anything you do. Before you go about lifting weights or skills and beating teams, you got to have that connection right there, for sure.
They bring the song "Firm Foundation" to mind. You know,
Firm foundation. Right. That's the foundation. Lay the foundation and go upon that. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So what's your favorite Bible verse?
My favorite Bible verse is Isaiah 43:2, and it's something like this. I don't know word for word, but when you go through deep waters, I will be with you. And that's always had a major impact on my life, because, like I said, I've never had anything that was traumatic and changed the course of my life. But there's been times where I've been, and I'm sure as for you yourself, where you go through deep waters, and He's giving you that reminder, like, hey, I'm right here. I love a story in the Bible where they were all in the boat and the storm was raging, and they were freaking out, and they weren't trusting God, but God was on the boat and He was just asleep, but He was there. And the waters finally calmed down, and they were kind of looking back like, why were we ever worried? God was in the boat with us. And it's when you're in those deep waters and maybe depressing times, or times where you feel hopeless, like, God, are you really here? Like, that's always a reminder that I've loved, is that God just says, when you're in deep waters, I'm there. So you don't have to question whether He still has a plan for you, or is He going to let this trial affect you and bring you down. God's there, you know?
Yes, it's like a faith over fear tactic.
Right.
Well, I appreciate you for hopping on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
Absolutely, man. Wish you all the best this
Have
season.
a good one.
All right.